Hi, this is Micornus, Phokane, the leader and the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum. I'm dealing with part 2 today of this great topic that speaks about how to become wise and sound as a young man. How to become wise and sound as a young man. And today I want to tell you now that in the days that we're living in, please, you'll realize that there's a lot of distractions in this life and a lot of things that disturb us, and particularly the technology that we're having, and we are actually keeping in our hands most of the time. If you want to be wise and you want to be sound, sometimes you need to go offline and explore. And when we talk about going offline, sometimes we're talking about withdrawing from the public. We're talking about withdrawing from the multitudes and be on your own, in your own space, and be able to explore things in your own space. When we talk about being offline, we're speaking about being offline from also apparatus like cell phones and connections from computers as well. Because that's the only time you're going to be sound and you're going to be able to think thoroughly and be able to plan and dig deeper into what you want to do. This is very important. Now, going offline is very important. I'm talking about being away from the crowds of the people, being away from noises as well. There are times when you need to be on your own, when you need to close yourself in your own closet sometimes and reflect your own life and be able to reflect your plans and replan and focus on them and start prioritizing as well. That can be done when you're offline, away from the public sometimes, just to reflect on your own life. And that is pure wisdom. And I want to urge you as a young man to do that a bit more often, where you isolate yourself, switch off those cell phones, switch off that computer, and be on your own. Just reflect. Just look back at where you're coming from. Just look at where you're going. Just reflect on your own life. Just correct your own mistakes in your own space alone. Explore more ideas that comes from your mind. Explore most of the advices that you have been given alone while you are now in the closet, you're alone, so you can actually reflect to those. And you are able actually to scrutinize some things when you are all by yourself and you've gone offline and you are therefore exploring many other methods of how to approach life. This is very important. And we don't often want to be alone. We don't often want to switch off from social media and computers and so on. We don't want to switch off. We don't want to be on our own. And sometimes we say, because we become lonely. But I want to emphasize that you definitely need sometimes to be alone and explore and be offline, and that will bring wisdom to you. Secondly, I want you to practice what we call mindfulness. That will actually help you to become wise. When we talk about mindfulness, we're speaking about somebody who's actually open-minded a little bit to be aware of their surrounding. There are people in life who are not mindful at all. Nothing that happens around them bothers them. Nothing that happens around them ever say anything to them. And I want to urge you as a young man that you start to learn to be mindful. Mindful of your surrounding, mindful of the people around you, mindful of your own situations, what will happen, what can happen, and what may not happen as well. And this is very important. And there are people that are just not mindful about anything. And you will hear people saying, I don't care what people say, and I don't care about what people think about me. That is a wrong way of approach of life, and that cannot be wisdom. Now, as a young man, you must be mindful of everything that happens around you. You must be mindful of the people. You must be mindful also about what people think as well, because that's very important as well. You cannot live like you're living in isolation. You cannot live like you're living in another planet where other people are not living. Because remember that what people think as well may be there as a corrective action to your life. It may be there actually as a teaching to your life on how to go about with your life by just how people think about you. by just how people say about you. And you cannot ignore that and say, I'm not mindful about that. It is very important to learn and practice mindfulness as a young man. Be mindful. Be mindful about things that you do. Be mindful about every action that you take. Be mindful. So being mindful, of course, will be also calculation of risks of everything that I do and everything that I plan to do. What is the risk of that? What is also the gains out of it? Because it's very important that when you are mindful, you are able to measure what we call pros and cons of situations. And that's the only way you're going to be successful, when you are able to become mindful. But mindfulness just doesn't come, it comes with practice. And that is why I want to emphasize that you need to practice mindfulness as a young man. And as you do so, therefore you gain wisdom and you become more sound in your life as well. And I want to emphasize this because it's very, very important that you practice mindfulness. Next, I want you to also know yourself more, because we are dealing with situations whereby most of us don't even know ourselves. And as a young man, when you know yourself more, you are able actually to know your limitations. You know also your skills and knowledge. You know what you can achieve, what you cannot achieve. You know what to do and what not to do when you know yourself better. You know what to say as well and what not to say. So that's pure wisdom. And wisdom actually is born from self-knowledge generally. That you know yourself more. And then you will be able actually not to feel bad even when other people are successful. Because knowledge of self actually kicks out the idea of jealousy. Because you know yourself and you know what you can achieve, what you cannot achieve. You know things that are actually promised to you by God or by people as well, and things that you're planning to do that are in the process of being done. You know that. And that is the reason why it will not actually stress you when other people are succeeding, because you know yourself better, you know what you can do. Now, knowing self better is even knowing your own potential as well. Because there are times when people are failing to do anything much in their lives because they don't realize that they've got potential of doing and achieving some things in life. But self-knowledge will actually bring about the knowledge of your potential that you have in your life, which is very important, because when you know you've got a potential, you will actually be able to do things much more better. You will actually be able to shape things and plan them, knowing that you've got the potential of achieving them. You'll be able to set up also goals in your life, knowing that you are able to achieve them based on your potential as well. Self-knowledge is very important because it will teach you what to say, when and how, and to which people. It will teach you where to go, when and how, and with which people. It will teach you actually what not to do as well in your life, because you would know who you are. And when you know who you are as well, you are able to keep a very strong backbone and not be tossed around by friends' invitations to wrong places. So you will actually be able to stand firm against criticism when you know yourself better. Now, please, it is very important that you know yourself even more as a young man if you want to be a wise young man. Finally, I want you to also monitor your ego. I want to mention that you need to monitor your ego if you are to become sound in your life and to become a person of wisdom. Ego can let you down. Ego can actually help you sometimes. It is very important to monitor it, because there's those people that have got so much high ego to an extent that they cannot be corrected by anybody. They cannot be guided. They cannot be advised by anybody in anything, because their egos are so high, and they always brush their egos to make their egos to even grow higher. But I want you as a young man to start to learn that an ego may let you down when it comes to wisdom and to become sound in your mind. Because ego may actually blind you sometimes when you're supposed to see things in a different way. But your ego will actually channel you to see them differently. And that is why people of ego, because they are incorrectable, they cannot be corrected, most of them, and you find that because you cannot be corrected, it leads you to danger that you would have avoided because of the ego. And ego is actually able to make you not to listen. It's able to close your ears, not to listen to other people. And ego is able to close your eyes, not to see things in a proper manner. And this is type of things that we're emphasizing, that please watch your ego as a young man. If you are to be successful, if you are to be wise and sound, please watch your ego as well. I want to end up here today. Your host, Micornus Phokane. Thank you very much for listening to us. This was part 2 of this great topic. So continue listening to us as we deal with part 3 tomorrow. But before I check out, please remember our YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you also like our Facebook page, Young Men Empowerment Forum, and that of Micornus Phokane. Like those pages. Click notification buttons to them as well, so that you can be notified when we have posted this type of videos that you can learn from. May the good Lord bless you. Your host, Micornus Phokane, once more. Thank you, and allow me to say cheers for now.